let's talk about book goals. Book goals are a little bit of like a dicey topic on the internet sometimes, and today I want to talk about why I think book goals are important, what I think book goals aren't, and then what my book goals are for 2026. I think book goals are an incredible method of accountability for myself, with making sure that I am actually spending time on one of my favorite hobbies, on hobbies that I love, not like endlessly doom scrolling on my phone. So aside from being too content to doom scroll, I also don't like spending time on myself. For some reason, it feels much more acceptable to actually just sit down on the couch for 5 minutes and doom scroll through Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikToks than it is to like actually sit down and read a book. I don't know what the mental shift that I need to have is toward like feeling okay with spending time on my hobbies, not even just reading, but knitting or crocheting or playing on my Switch or playing any kind of game on my computer instead of just working. I don't feel like I allow myself the ability to enjoy my hobbies. So setting goals where, again, I can be held accountable to it, my friends will check in on me with them, I think is incredibly productive for me for goal setting, and I think that is an incredibly useful way to utilize goals rather than as a punishment thing. As an author, I also think it's really important to spend time in your craft. Keeping up with current trending books is a really good idea when you are an author, so that you can understand the market and where your market is at, your target audience in your market is at, what sort of things are happening in books that are really popular, what kind of things that you really like that are done very well in books that are really popular, maybe finding things that you don't like in them, or finding a gap, being able to identify a gap and thinking to yourself, hey, I think the book I'm working on right now could really fill this gap. Like, it can be very motivating to be like, hey, here are these popular books, they're missing this aspect that I as a reader would really like. Let me fit that. Let me put my book as a puzzle piece here in the market. Not necessarily saying to write to market, which is here or there on if you want to do that or not. I think it's a pretty valid writing strategy. Do I do it myself? No, I am not able to churn out books like butter. I definitely take a long time with the books that I'm working on. I used to be able to write, 80 to 90,000 words in 3 months and have it edited and continue working on my revisions on my drafts, but that is not who I am anymore. With the books I am working on right now, it's not quite pulling teeth, but it feels like it a little bit, where I'm like, oh, I got 5,000 words done, like that cost a molar, like I got another 6,000 words, that was a canine, like not quite, but I am definitely a slow writer. But I find when I spend a lot more time reading books in my genre, which is my favorite genre, that I get a lot more inspiration to write, not even just pulling inspiration from the book, like, oh, I like how they did this, I want to do something like this in my book, and clicky, 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 implementing it, but, oh, this story is fun. I want someone to feel this way when they read my book. I want to feel that way as I'm writing my book. I'm gonna go write. I think it is a very, very helpful tool to spend time in your craft. One other thing with book goals that I really like is establishing a goal and making sure that you are tracking your goal. Means that I'm tracking what books I'm reading. I go through my TBR a lot more efficiently when I'm keeping track of things. I can talk with my friends about books I've been reading this year by keeping track of books. I'm a bit of a scatterbrain, honestly, so I forget a lot of titles that I've read, but because I've marked them on Goodreads or I've notated them in a spreadsheet that I have, I can easily talk about those books with my friends, and I can give my recommendations on if I liked it or not. I mean, truthfully, it should be telling that if I've forgotten I read a book, it's probably not the best book. But again, sometimes when you read a good handful of books, or it's, 4 months down the line and you're like, oh, I read a book, I read a thriller. What was it called again? Like, just recalling titles can be hard. I can remember characters and plots, but some titles can be tricky every now and again. Now to quickly touch on what book goals aren't. I see a lot of people online talking about how book goals are a competition, how it's just to show off to other readers that you're a better reader than they are because look at the books that you're reading, or look at the volume of books that you're reading, or the size of the books that you're reading. I don't think that's what book goals are. It is to some people. There are groups of people out there where that is the sole reason that they have book goals, is to be arrogant, to show off, and to punch down on people. That's not who I am as a person. I don't think that's why we should have book goals in general. I don't think we should generally have goals to be jerks to people. That's me though. People disagree. I also don't think book goals should be unrealistic. I try to set very reasonable book goals for myself based off of my previous year goals, and I also set them for what I want to accomplish in that year. So number-wise, I look at what I've done the past couple years compared to the workload I've had, and then goals, I look at maybe what I haven't read as much of or books that I bought recently that I want to prioritize for the year. So having my goals makes sure that I am acknowledging the things that I want to tackle. You know, I'm making a list, I'm checking it twice, I'm gonna find out if those books are naughty or nice. I don't think book goals should be unrealistic, and I don't think we should be beating ourselves up about book goals. I don't think book goals should be set as a punishment. You know, I'm not gonna say for myself, like, I'm gonna read 200 books this year, because that is unrealistic, and if I don't meet that goal, I'm gonna beat myself up. Not a competition, not a way to prove that you're better than other people, because you're probably not, let's be real. I don't think setting book goals is an unrealistic idea. My goal in 2026 is to read 60 books. Every year that I complete my book goal, I try to add 5 books to my next year's total. However, last year my goal was 50 books and I read somewhere in the ballpark of like 78 to 84. With the large gap between what my goal was of 50 books in 2025, I figured this year I would set the goal of 60 rather than 55. Some of the book series that I want to read this year that I think are going to help with my goal is that I want to finish reading the light novel series for the Apothecary Diaries. As of filming this video, I have read the first 3 light novels. There are 15 currently translated in English. There is a 16th that I believe is Japanese only and is in the process of being translated. I want to reread The Assistant to the Villain and then the books after that. I've only read The Assistant to the Villain. I own the other 2 books, Assistant, Apprentice, Accomplice. Adversary comes out later this year. I don't know if I'll buy that one yet. I do have the Barnes & Noble exclusive editions of the other 2, so I feel like I have that pressure on myself to also get that. But I want to read those other books before I, buy the last book in this series. Then I'm start reading it and maybe I'll get through it and be like, oh, I don't actually like this series as much as I thought I would. I don't like these other books as much as I thought I do. So that's another 4 books on this year's book count, because I do count rereads. I don't think it's a crime to count rereads on your reading goal. Fight me. I would love to finish reading the Lord of the Rings series. I don't know if I'll include The Hobbit in that or not, but I feel like it's kind of preposterous that I haven't finished reading those books yet. And I think 2026 is going to be the year that I finally do it. There are also some other books that I know I'm going to want to get if I end up really enjoying them. I own, One Dark Window. So if I end up really liking One Dark Window, there's a sequel to it called Two Twisted Crowns. It's the Shepherd King duology, I think is what it's called. And I know she just came out with another book series. I don't know if it's another duology or a trilogy, but it's like The Knight and the Moth. And then there's one that just came out. I don't remember the title to it, but it's new. There could be a 3rd book to that. Probably wouldn't come out this year if book 2 just came out this year. But, if I like that one book, that's 3 additional books there that I would want to probably read. I know Sarah Beth Durst has the 3rd book in the Spell Shop series coming out, which is Charms of Sea of Charms. Yeah, Sea of Charms. That's the 3rd book in the Spell Shop series. I own the first one. It was gifted to me by my cousin-in-law for Christmas a couple years ago. I got the second one on Libby. I don't know if I want to buy the hardback for it yet or not. It is pretty. They have sprayed edges, which I'm a sucker for. They are pretty. I don't buy a book just because it has sprayed edges, but if a book I like has sprayed edges, I'm going to try for an edition like that. That's like 20-some books right there that I just rattled off that I really want to read and prioritize. And I think that is the important part about setting a goal and then making a list of books that you want to read within that. Another goal I have for this year is making myself an author curriculum. So right now I kind of write middling, cozy-ish fantasy with a lot of political intrigue elements to it, and I really enjoy that, but I would eventually like to switch to writing gothic fantasy. Victorian literature is one of my favorite genres. I love the Victorian era. Within literature, the first and the second waves of Victorian literature are probably my favorite. The third is also really good, but it has a little bit more of a distinctly different vibe than the first two waves. That is incredibly nerdy of me. I want to make myself a writing curriculum probably sometime in the fall when, you know, after Prince 2 is published and I'm starting to work on my next book series. I don't know yet if I want my next book series that I publish to be Gothics yet or not. I think I'm gonna like inch my way to it. I have a couple of middling books of fantasy, not quite just high fantasy with romance, not quite entirely Gothic, but kind of a blend of it. Or I might just jump into full Gothic horror. We'll see what I end up doing. But either way, I want to start curating myself an author curriculum for that I'll probably start reading sometime this fall. So I think within that curriculum, I would have some fantasy Gothics. I think I would have some classic Gothics, modern Gothics that aren't necessarily fantasy leaning. So yeah, I want to read a good blend of different Gothics. I want to read a blend of different good fantasies that maybe aren't entirely Gothic but have vibes like that. Yeah, author curriculum. I think that's going to be another at least like 5 to 6 books that I want to read in the fall to help give me some writing inspiration for my next book series. I think that's everything that I feel the need to talk about with book goals. But that's my nickel on it. I can't say 2 cents. They don't make pennies anymore. And with inflation, it's probably a nickel. That's my nickel on all of this. Let me know what you think about reading goals in the comments down below. You can also join my Discord server. I will have a link to join that in the description. It's free to join. It's not anything that is affiliated with Patreon or anything. It used to be, to some degree, connected to Patreon. It is not anymore. It is entirely free to join. Come chat with me about all things bookish. You can get a lot of updates about what I'm writing in that server as well. I am notorious for not keeping my mouth shut about things and sharing lines and tidbits from my projects in my Discord server, in spoiler-only channels. I just want to share what I've written with people. I mean, I'm an author, so it makes sense. You can find my debut fantasy, Down with the Prince, anywhere online where books are sold. You can buy it directly through the Nightshade publishing website. I will be entirely transparent. That is where I make the most amount of royalties off of Nightshade, you know, for Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Blackwell's, Waterstone, other booksellers. I make like $1.20 on a $20 book. My hardback that sells for $30, I make less than $1 on, but directly through the Nightshade publishing website, if you buy any of my books on there, I make like $5+ on a $20 book rather than just $1. So it is generally appreciative if you buy directly from my shop. But if you can't, I totally understand that. Do also sell the ebook through the website. There's owner permanency. We can't go in and snatch the book from you or update it on your device once you own it. It is yours to keep, unlike what other resellers give you, Amazon specifically. Thank you so very much for watching my video again. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.